Hello. Hope this finds you well. Welcome to a new series, Dirty Dub Done Dirt Cheap. What we're going to be doing in this series is teaching you how to use dub techniques and apply them to your music. You don't really need to be wanting to actually make dub, in quotation mark, music. You can apply this to just about anything. It's not going to be a history lesson. There's lots of excellent resources out there. There's books you should read. There's records you should listen to. King Tubby. Listen to just about anything with the name King Tubby on from the 1970s, well, right up until his death. Lee Perry, particularly his 1970s work. And then if you're looking towards the 1980s, you got people like Scientists, Adrian Sherwood, and techniques from dub bled into the mainstream through the avant-garde end of popular music. And Brian Eno, he was one person who instantly recognised like the abstraction of how dub works, and that it was what he loved to call cybernetic systems. That's basically systems that you set up, you put sound into, and it comes out the other end, processed and adapted. And so by setting up systems of filters, echo and reverb, dub engineer can create like a whole new world. And the spacious influence of dub can be heard all over. In hip hop, particularly from the sound effects and the general feeling of Ramazzi's classic beatbox, to 90s artists like Black Moon and RZA, who made like filtering the bass and made it into a feature, the interplay between the drums. And then there's the runaway oscillating delays that are all over one of my favourite albums ever, Lydon's Beauty and the Beat. And then there's right up to now with the likes of Nod, G-N-O-D, applying this to experimental music. So, in short, these are a set of skills that you need in your armoury, and they're a lot of fun to play with. So, join me for Dirty Dub Done Dirt Cheap, episode 1. Zen and the art of dub engineering. In child psychology, there's a concept called object permanence. Jean Piaget famously showed that understanding that something still exists when you can't see it or hear it is an important step in a child's development. And what dub does is it plays with this characteristic of the brain. Taking elements out of a mix in a dub production tickles the prediction algorithms of the brain, you could say. The brain loves to find patterns, and so it enjoys the exercise of experiencing a piece of music broken down to its constituent parts. Here's a visual metaphor. So if we strip this photo down to CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and key, which is a black, we can kind of use these layers as to represent different elements in the mix. So here's the drums. Now, classically, the drums in a dub track, they could even be just a single beat or one drop on the third beat. This is a little bit more complicated. We're using a rim shot as there. You might have this track is in fact at 140 BPM, that's completely the typical. I've made almost a cliched dub track here, but adapt these techniques. Don't just copy, make new things. So this 140 BPM simple drum beat often gives some motion by percussion. And then there's almost always a piano or guitar, playing chords on the offbeat. This is a mix of both, you can hear now. Then, of course, what could be considered the lead instrument, the bass. It's not unusual to actually have a vocalist, but they can almost never be considered as being lead. The bass in dub sketches out the harmonic structure along with the guitar and the piano skank, or the double time sibling, the bubble. So from this you can kind of get the shape of what's happening in the song. So we strip back and add layers. Then of course we've got reverb. Now there's going to be a few tutorials on how to do spring reverb. If you have a guitar amp, have a look inside of it. You've most probably got a spring reverb box. I'm going to be doing a video on how you can use that box in a pretty cheap way, along with your digital audio workstation. So kind of get it plumbed into there. If you have more outputs on your sound card, that would be useful, as well as more inputs, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And of course we've got delay. Two delays here. One, which again we're going to be doing a separate tutorial on, but you'll be setting up a feedback loop. Okay, so in File, Project Settings, and Advanced Settings, you want to allow feedback in routing. Can result in low performance, loud noises. You need to be careful with this. Again, another tutorial. If you want to refer to my video on Frippertronics, it's basically the same as that, but using a shorter delay. I'll be doing a dub delay tutorial in due course, but we've got a feedback system set up here, so things enter the system and come out change. What we've also got is we've got an EQ here. Now what I've done is in Reaper's settings. So if you go into trim, look at the envelopes and press mod or high pass, you can set this to an LFO. I've set two LFOs, so they've kind of got an intermodulating node. There you can see. I kind of tried to fit them so they were attractive and slightly out of sync. So this way the feedback loop is being changed all the time. It's almost alive. You can of course do all this by automation, by hand, but this is really a very simple way to do it. Next episode is going to be a Reaper episode. It's going to have a template and you're going to be able to play with either this mix or drop your own mix into there. Okay? So join you for that very soon, next few days. Bye. Bye.